You know, flying, it's something we almost take for granted now, right? But stop and think about it for a second. Have you ever really thought about how a giant metal tube gets off the ground and just floats through the clouds? Well, today we're going to unpack the amazing science that makes it all happen.
I mean, seriously, just let that sink in for a moment. A machine that weighs as much as like 80 elephants, just casually hanging out miles above our heads. It feels like it should be impossible, right? But nope, it's not magic. It's just some seriously cool physics. And it all starts from the very beginning, right there on the runway. Okay, so the journey begins. Where else? On the runway. Before a plane can even think about flying, it has to overcome some massive forces: inertia, air resistance, with just pure, raw power.
And to even get to the point of lifting off, a typical jetliner has to hit a mind-boggling speed. We're talking around 250 kilometers per hour. I mean, that's way faster than most of us have ever dared to drive a car. And to even reach that speed, it's got to win this fundamental battle of physics.
The best way to think about it is like an epic tug of war. On one side, you have the engines generating this immense thrust, just blasting air backward to shove the plane forward. But on the other side, pulling back, you've got air resistance, that's drag, and the friction from the tires on the runway. The plane doesn't even budge until that forward thrust completely overpowers those two backward forces.
So, the takeoff itself, it happens in three really distinct phases. First up is the ground roll. That's that intense acceleration that pushes you back in your seat. Then you get the rotation. This is when the pilot pulls back on the controls, lifting the nose up. That simple move changes the angle of the wings, and that, right there, is the magic moment. It's when lift finally beats gravity. And just like that, you've got climb out. The plane is officially in the air.
All right, so getting off the ground is one thing, but staying up there, that's a whole different ballgame. And this is where the really elegant science of aerodynamics kicks in. And it all starts with one really important principle.
It's called Bernoulli's Principle. Now, that sounds super complex, I know, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. All it says is that faster moving air has less pressure than slower moving air. That's it. And believe it or not, that one simple concept is pretty much the main reason a wing can generate lift.
So how does that actually apply to an airplane wing? Well, take a look at this cross-section here. See how the top is curved, but the bottom is pretty much flat? That shape forces the air that goes over the top to travel a longer distance than the air that goes underneath. Now, for both streams of air to get to the back of the wing at the same time, the air on top has to speed up, right? It's got to move faster. And what did we just learn from Bernoulli? Faster air means lower pressure. So suddenly you've got this awesome pressure difference. High pressure on the bottom pushing up, and low pressure on the top pulling up. And boom, that's lift.
Okay, hold on a second. That explanation makes perfect sense. But then you go to an air show, and you see a stunt plane flying completely upside down. If the whole curved top thing is what creates lift, and now that curved part is on the bottom, shouldn't the plane be getting pushed straight into the ground? Well, this is where the story gets really interesting.
Yeah, it turns out that the wing's special shape is really only half the story. The other, just as important part, is something called the angle of attack. See, just by tilting the wing into the oncoming air, a pilot can force that air downwards. And you remember Newton's third law, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So all that air getting pushed down pushes the wing up. This is how even a simple flat board, or an upside-down wing, can generate lift and fly.
Okay, so we're up in the air and we're staying there. Great. But how does a pilot know which way is up or down or left or right? Especially when they're flying through a thick cloud and they can't see the horizon at all.
Well, they rely on this incredible little piece of physics, all packed into a device called a gyroscope. You can think of it as this invisible force that gives the plane stability and tells the pilot which way is which, acting like a true north when their own senses could be totally misleading.
And the concept is actually super simple to grasp. If you've ever played with a spinning top, you've already seen a gyroscope at work. You know how once it gets spinning really fast, it wants to stay perfectly upright? It just resists any attempt to knock it over. That resistance to changing its position is the whole secret.
The technical term for this is rigidity in space. Just imagine that spinning top is inside a little box. If you tilt and turn the box, the top inside is going to try to stay in its original spot. It's the same thing in an airplane. The instruments are basically just measuring the difference between how the airplane is moving and how that stable, unmoving gyroscope inside is staying put. And that gives the pilot a perfect, reliable reference point. And this one single principle powers some of the most critical instruments on the whole flight deck.
You've got the attitude indicator. That's the artificial horizon, showing the pilot if the nose is up or down, or if the wings are level. Then there's the directional gyro, which is basically a super stable compass. And the turn coordinator, which tells them how fast they're turning or rolling. Put them all together, and they give the pilot a complete picture of exactly what the plane is doing.
All right, now for what a lot of pilots will tell you is the single most challenging part of any flight, getting that huge, fast-moving machine safely back down on the ground. It's really an art form.
And the first line of defense for every landing is the landing gear itself. And let me tell you, this is not just a set of wheels. It's an unbelievably sophisticated system of hydraulics and shock absorbers, all designed to soak up an impact that would literally flatten a car. It's a total engineering marvel all by itself.
A good landing is like a carefully choreographed dance. It all starts with the approach, where the pilot gets everything perfectly lined up with the runway. Then, just before touching down, they do something called a flare. They pitch the nose up slightly to slow the descent for a smoother landing. The main wheels in the back always touch down first, and then instantly, it's time to hit the brakes.
And listen, stopping a 500,000-pound airplane moving at highway speeds takes some serious braking power. Two main systems jump right into action. First, these panels on top of the wings, called spoilers, they pop up. That immediately kills any leftover lift and creates a ton of drag. At the exact same time, the engines roar into reverse thrust, redirecting all that power forward to act like a giant air brake.
And what's powering all this stuff? The landing gear, the spoilers, the brakes? It's all run by hydraulic systems that operate at over 3,000 psi. To put that in perspective, that's more than 20 times the pressure you've got in your car tires. It's just a testament to the unbelievable forces at play during every single landing.
So when you think about it, from the pure physics that creates lift, to the incredible engineering it takes to land, every single part of a flight is a kind of marvel. But, maybe the real miracle isn't any one of those things. Maybe it's how all of it, the thrust, the lift, the gyros, the hydraulics, all works together in perfect, seamless coordination. So the next time you're on a plane, maybe you'll look at the whole thing just a little bit differently.